Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. This one will take a look at the SEC and Kraken, the implications for Cardano staking, or maybe the lack of implications. Also contingent staking, which has been a hotly contested topic within the Cardano ecosystem the last few days. Then looking at what the SEC also done this week with targeting BUSD, calling it a security, telling PAXOS they can't mint anymore. If you get value, please do share it out with others. Give the video a like, comment questions or anything below. Do subscribe if you're new. Let's jump into it. So I covered the SEC and Kraken last Friday in the Cardano catch-up. I'll touch on it briefly here to give people an overview and then look at some of the new information that's out there. But I posted this one as well on Twitter 5 days ago and my opinion hasn't changed, and to me this is the summary of it. From everything I read, the SEC is not targeting self-custody staking. It is targeting the third party that takes control of your assets and offers you a return. So self-custody staking is where you are the one who holds custody of the assets. You don't give that up to anyone else and you stake from your own wallet. So with Cardano, when you hold your ADA in your wallet, you delegate to a stake pool within the network that is not giving the stake pool custody. So if you delegate to my stake pool, Paul, you're not giving me custody of your assets. You are just essentially voting for me within the network, saying I'm a good actor, I should get blocks within the network, I'm trusted to process transactions and blocks within the Cardano network. So that doesn't give me access to your funds, and then it's the network that pays you the rewards directly. They don't pay me as the stake pool operator and then I send them to you. The network handles all of that. So that is all self-custody. But what the SEC really seems to be targeting is the third parties that you send your funds to. So in the case of Kraken, you sent them your ADA. They then pooled all the funds. So they took everyone who put ADA onto the platform, they pooled it all together, and then they staked it to whatever stake pool they go to. I presume they had their own pools, and then they get paid the reward because they're the ones who done the staking, and then they pay you a percentage of that, or whatever way it works out, they pay you part of that. But it's not the network paying you directly, it is the third party that's paying you. And that really seems to be the big issue here. You also look at any of the documentation that comes out, they're not really looking at the Cardano staking model. I think long term this could be very good for Cardano and how the staking process works for us, because a lot of what they're talking about is even when you're not giving it up to a third party like Kraken or an exchange, they're talking about where you lock up funds and where you lose custody, which you do when you are staking Ethereum or some other protocols as well, where you have lockup periods. If we look at Charles, put out a good video yesterday on this. He went through the document from the SEC to Kraken, talking about all the different points on why they have charged them. Charles went through it and kind of said, this one, and all of these points here don't apply to Cardano and how we do staking. And a lot of it boils down to custody of funds, and even Coinbase put out an article here saying Coinbase's staking services are not securities and here's why. Interesting article. I don't agree with all of it either, but they say that staking allows anyone anywhere to contribute to the security of the blockchain and be rewarded for their effort. But while anyone can participate in staking activities, the average user will generally use a service provider like Coinbase to keep the servers running and software up to date. That's not always the case, as we know from Cardano, but within other networks, it's not just as easy to stake. With say Ethereum, use them as the example, you have to hold 32 ETH to run a validator yourself. If you don't hold that, you have to give up custody to someone else who will pool the funds together, and then they will run the validator and they will be the ones that process the rewards and everything. And there is slashing in the network as well. So your initial funds are at risk, where with Cardano, no matter what happens, your initial ADA is never at risk when you hold it in your own wallet. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think that they are a security or aren't a security. We have to wait and see where they take these laws, and I think it will help to bring clarity. Hester Peirce, I showed this one last Friday as well. Her statement on it, she isn't happy with how it has went about, and I hope she keeps pushing this forward to get processes in place. So if they are going to come after entities here, and I don't think that all third parties are bad entities, I think if the right structure is in place and people fully understand them, some people aren't going to be happy, or some networks aren't as easy to stake. I think when the likes of Cardano, everyone should push to eventually hold your own funds and stake from your own wallet. But she talks about here that the customers earn returns and the company earns a fee. That is one of the big things that they seem to be going after. The commission argues that staking programs should have been registered with the SEC, which he says the more fundamental question is whether the SEC registration would have been possible. And if it is possible, then is it the staking platform as a whole gets registered, or is it each individual asset on the platform has to get registered? Because there is a very big difference between staking ADA or staking Ethereum or staking DOT or staking multiple different currencies or assets out there that you can stake. So there's a lot of questions to be asked here on how this is going to happen moving forward. We had here the video, one of the videos from Gary Gensler, where he's talking about taking the importance of self-custody and holding your own funds. A lot of this is coming back from FTX and what happened there with people giving up custody. And when you give up custody, no matter how trusted the other entity is, there's always a risk. It's the same I talk about when you give up access, when you get into DeFi as well and you give up access to smart contracts. You can really trust the entity. There's a lot of audits done, but there's always a small chance of risk there when you do give up custody yourself. So that's where we stand with Cardano right now. That was the initial post about Kraken have to discontinue and they have to pay $30 million in SEC charges. Right now, Cardano staking is the model that I think a lot of people will start looking towards, with self-custody, with no lockups, and how that model actually works. I don't think the SEC or anyone has looked at that type of offering yet. I think when they do, it will be far more favorable than a lot of the ones that are out there in the world right now. So we'll wait and see what happens, but as anything comes up on that, you can be sure I will be talking about it here. So all of this talk has also sparked a highly contested topic within the Cardano community, and that is around contingent staking. So Charles put out the video the other day talking about Kraken, regulation, staking, everything that was going on, and he mentioned contingent staking. Now, it's not the first time he's mentioned it. He mentioned it back in 2001, I think it was. So this was over a year ago, this video here, where he talked about contingent stake pools and what they might look like. And to me, he's not saying that the Cardano network is going this way, that we are going to have contingent stake pools. I'll explain what it means in a minute. But he's saying that this is a possibility. If regulations required it, or if whatever entities come in and wanted things like this, then the Cardano network could vote on this. This is another thing that people are coming out saying, that Charles is going to bring in contingent staking or bring in other rules. We are moving towards Voltaire. The sooner we get it, the better. Voltaire on the Cardano roadmap is all about governance. So it is the community that will vote on what gets implemented in Cardano going forward. But contingent staking, in a high level summary, is right now Cardano has a push network. So when you want to stake to a stake pool, you say, I want to stake to pool X. So you go in and you delegate from your wallet and it's accepted. The stake pool owner can't say, no, I don't want that person in my pool, or whatever way it is. And that's the way the network works. Contingent staking or contingent stake pools would be where you sign a transaction to say you want to delegate to pool X. But on the other side, pool X owner gets a notification that this person wants to stake to your pool, and they have to sign it as well to basically accept the person in. So you're accepting that you want that person to stake to your pool. Now, I don't fully agree. I would never like to see the network going fully like that. I think there's use cases that people can argue of why things like this might be used, and Charles talked about them as well. He did another video on it yesterday talking more about why things like this might be important. You can see he references voting and Voltaire there, which will be the one that will decide things like this. Now, one use case of this potentially would be ISOs or ISPOs. There's still no full legal or regulation clarity on how these work. You look at ICOs or any sales, generally they don't let US citizens or certain regions in the world access to come in and buy the tokens. But when you break it all down, basically an ISO is the same thing. You are giving up your staking rewards and you're getting the token in return. But right now there's no way for the project or the company to know who is delegating to their pool and who they are actually sending all of these other rewards to. So down the line, you don't know where it's going to go. Potentially there could be issues there down the line. Not saying there will be, but there's always options there of where it is. You look at what Axo Trade have done. Initially they ran an ISO with 100% pools where they took all of the rewards and they were going to give you their token instead. They changed that. Now they're a few weeks ago, or before Christmas at this point, they sent everyone back the ADA rewards they should have earned, and you can still claim the token as long as you do KYC and you're not in a restricted region. So they're going back just in case this happens. But if this process had to be in place in the beginning, then they could have ran the ISO and they would know the investors. You're basically an investor when you go into an ISO. They would have known who was coming in and who was due the rewards, and they could have blocked certain regions. Now, the big issue here for a lot of people is KYC. And does contingent staking mean KYC on the layer 1? I don't think it means KYC on the layer 1. Lots of people will argue it's a slippery slope, and maybe it is. But right now, I would see it that, and this is if you use KYC, it mightn't be that you use KYC to decide who comes into your pool. It could be that you just want friends and family, so you can give them a certain NFT, that when that NFT is in your wallet, they get accepted, or whatever way you want to work it. But if KYC was coming into this, to me, it's done by a third party. It's done by some of the processes out there. Maybe it's out of Prism, where you would then get some form of verification on your wallet, where you get an NFT or something in your wallet that verifies what country you're in, so then you can stake using that. But that would not be KYC on the layer 1. And I would not like to see Cardano going the route of KYC on the layer 1, where every wallet would have to be KYC to just use the network. To me, they're very different. I do see the argument of it being a slippery slope down to that, but that's up to the community with Voltaire, and especially with regulation coming in, to push back and say, why is it needed, or what is it needed for? And have the open discussion. But to me, it's not a black and white situation. There's lots of gray areas and lots of areas for people to get involved, especially when governance comes in, not just on Twitter and having basically arguments across Twitter. When governance comes in, that's when people need to come out and be outspoken and get their views out there and help educate people on the reasons for and against different proposals and what is going to happen with the future of Cardano. As it breaks down, I will try and bring more information on that here as well. So the final topic then is on BUSD, and that is the Binance stablecoin, but it's not issued by Binance, it's issued by PAXOS. So you can see here, CZ put out this thread the other day. In summary, BUSD is issued and redeemed by PAXOS. So you go to PAXOS, you put in your USD, and you get BUSD out. Same way we have Shed, apart from they have the centralized entity that does it, kind of like Circle with USDC. So they're the ones that hold the reserves. You can see the summary from CZ is, as a result, BUSD market cap will only decrease over time because Paxos can't mint any more BUSD. Redemptions will continue and they will continue to manage the service. Also, they say here that please be assured funds are SEFU and fully covered by reserves in their bank. Paxos have come out here and said that Paxos issued this. Paxos categorically disagrees with the SEC staff because BUSD is not a security under the federal securities law. The SEC Wells notice pertains only to BUSD, so Paxos are clear that this is nothing else to do with any other part of their business. They do say that BUSD issued by Paxos is always backed one-to-one with US dollar denominated reserves. Now, I don't know if this means that it is all backed by the US dollar or something else denominated in US dollar reserves. That's something that could be questioned, but generally a lot of the rules before have been around the Howey test, and that's what determines if something's a security. So are you getting into something expecting to get a profit out of it? Nobody gets into a stable coin to expect a profit from just holding it. You might get in to use a stable coin and use that in your trading, trying to generate profits, but not directly for it. Now, there is arguments out there now saying that it's being classed as a security is a lot more than that. Something I need to dig a bit more into, but if you are holding BUSD, I would say now probably the time to convert over. It seems everything is fine, the funds are safe, but the markets that trade with BUSD are going to be getting smaller. If we look at coin market cap here, you can see that it's down under 15 billion now. The actual market cap of BUSD, it was at 16 billion a few days ago when this announced first. And as we go on over time, it's just going to keep going down. Good news for Cardano is we will pass them out maybe in the next few days if the markets keep going positive. And why it's coming down is because people are redeeming their BUSD at Paxos and getting back their USD. There was questions just in around Circle and if they were next and what's going on. So Coinbase put this out here, but Dante from Circle came out and said to some of the allegations about Circle and USDC having got a notice as well is Circle has not received a Wells notice. And he talks about this reporter here that put out saying that she had heard Circle was next. Circle had been issued and they were going to have issues and have to stop. So Circle have categorically denied that they're not next. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. SEC are definitely on a bit of a warpath right now, but as the information comes out, I will bring it to you here. Tonight on Cardano Crack, we have Army of Spies back with myself and Paddy, and we'll dive deeper into contingent staking and all of that type of stuff there. So bring your questions and I'll talk to you soon.